Welcome back to Super Speed Super Metroid. I'm your super host, Super Brick Road, and we've just landed on planet Zebes. The world of Super Metroid is split into several different regions, the first of which is the surface, Crateria. Initially, there's nothing much here. The planet is cold and sterile and very creepy. Right now, Samus is sorely lacking in functionality, so there's not much to do except follow the one path that's laid out for me. That path leads us down through Old Torian, the final area of the original Metroid, which was blown halfway to hell after Samus destroyed the original Mother Brain, who once resided in this broken casing right here. The original Tourian was a gauntlet of lava and organic gates and fiery rinker rain, so leading the player back through a tamed version of it is an effective way to establish a new spin on the old setting. This elevator leads down into Brinstar, which is the beginning of the original Metroid. The first item is located in the same place it was in the original as well, just left of the starting area. The morphing ball lets Samus curl up into a ball and squeeze into narrow areas, and is one of the more important aspects to exploring the game world. Even the placement of these two sections of the original game fits. If you were to map out the NES Metroid, you'd find that the path to Mother Brain is geographically located just a couple screens above your starting area in Brinstar. That should give you an idea of the attention to detail that went into this game. The 5 missiles that I just picked up are the last of the important items down here in this section of Brinstar. These 2 items will let me explore new areas of Crateria, so back up the elevator I go. Of course, now I've been scanned and the bad guys know I'm here, so the planet has come to life and Old Tourian is going to be absolutely crawling with space pirates. This first class of space pirate isn't very dangerous, but they're going to hassle me all the way back up the Old Tourian escape shaft. What's important to note about this whole section of the game is that it's involving you, the player, in its narrative. Samus arrives on the space pirate homeworld, sneaks into the dilapidated portion of their old base, picks up a trapped item, gets scanned, alarm klaxons go off into wherever the new space pirate base happens to be, and a squad is sent off to ambush her as she passes back up through the bottleneck. All this without a single cutscene or one syllable of dialogue. That's impressive storytelling. From an exploration standpoint, there are hidden passages and item pickups all over this area. There's an entire shaft of hidden goodies behind the right-hand wall there. There's stuff underneath Mother Brain's old casing, and more off through the missile door I didn't open down in Brinstar. Passing through that section the first time is creepy, the second time it's dangerous, and then there's incentive to go back a third time for the exploration. It's a really neat effect. On the other side of the next hallway is Super Metroid's first boss, the Torizo statue. In the PAL version of the game, it's possible to get in, grab the bombs, and get out of the room before you're locked in, skipping the boss fight entirely and saving you a couple minutes off the clock. That's unfortunately impossible in other versions of the game, so far as I know. I will be skipping some of the bosses though, one in this very video. Not much strategy to the Torizo fight really, just shoot him constantly and ignore the damage you sustain. When he launches little balls at you, break them for pickups. Eventually you'll knock his head off, and from that moment he's just one missile away from annihilation. When you kill a boss in Super Metroid, they leave behind a huge swath of pickups, which is good because my motto is, if you're gonna cut it close. Morphing Ball, missiles, and bombs. These 3 items make up the core of Samus's exploration abilities. Coupled with her natural ability to wall jump and bomb jump, you can get most anywhere in the game world with just these items. Skipping items is the basis for Super Metroid challenge runs. For example, if you were so inclined, you could go on to collect over 80% of the game's items without facing another boss or mini-boss after the Torizo. I won't say anything about energy tanks because you already know what they do, and if you don't, you just figured it out by watching me pick this one up. Let's talk cool tricks. Samus can achieve 2 speeds without items, slow and fast. Which speed she's traveling at is determined by whether or not you're holding down the run button. But the run button doesn't do anything while in ball form. The only obvious way to travel at running speed in ball form is to build up speed on the ground, jump forward, and then morph in midair and let inertia carry you. As soon as you touch ground, you lose your momentum and roll forward at regular speed. Unless, that is, you run forward, jump, and then wait until you're just a pixel or so off the ground to finish morphing. The down diagonal forward motion you make with your thumb as Samus hits the ground feels very much like Ryu's Hadouken in Street Fighter. Pull this off and Samus will roll along the ground at running speed. This is called the Mach Ball. I'm telling you all this because you're about to witness one of the coolest sequence breaks in Super Metroid. I'm not supposed to get the items I'm about to get until much later in the game after collecting the speed booster. However, thanks to the Mach Ball maneuver, Samus rolls right under the shutters into the goodies on the other side. In this room are a couple of missile packs and a reserve tank, which works like a backup energy tank I can fill up manually. Cool, but not really worth getting early. The real treasure is outside and upstairs above the shutters, past a bunch of super annoying monsters. What I'm supposed to do is skip this area entirely and go deeper into Brinstar until I get to a big pink room. At the top of that pink room is an annoying mini-boss that takes about 6.5 years to kill. The prize for beating that mini-boss is the game's first Super Missile Pack, which I need to open green doors. Thanks to the Mach Ball, however, I could reach this Super Missile Pack early and skip the annoying boss entirely. The Mach Ball is a little finicky, and it's not often I can land it on my first try. You can probably try and fail the Mach Ball 15 times though and still save time by skipping the boring mini-boss. His name's Spore Spawn, and sorry, you're not going to get to see him. Imagine a big green vagina with teeth that sways lazily around the room if you really need a mental picture. The reason I'm rolling back and forth here is to avoid my own bombs. Bombs propel Samus directly upward, and each blast I don't get caught in saves about half a second and lets me place my next bomb that much sooner. Yellow doors can only be opened by power bombs, which I'm not supposed to be able to get yet. I could go get a set right now if I wanted, but there's no real compelling reason to do so. In the original Metroid and the crappy Game Boy sequel, picking up a new gun would replace Samus' old one. In Super, however, Samus can piggyback one gun on top of another, combining by the end of the game to form one massively powerful gun. The charge beam lets me charge up a more powerful shot, and I'll be able to charge any future gun that I find as well. You can also go into the sub-screen and unequip individual guns if you want a specific combination. This is the type of thing that doesn't sound useful, but the hardcore speedrunners make good use of it. The ice beam, for example, freezes an enemy on the shot before it's killed. Useful in most runs, but in a speedrun it just means you're firing one extra shot for every monster you take down. Solution: pick up the ice beam, then turn it off in the menu and go through most of the game without it. Those split seconds you save really add up. Future games like Fusion and Zero Mission don't give Samus the option to unequip guns, a fact most players probably won't even notice. This is a good example of why more control is better. Letting Samus turn her items on and off has no real function on the surface. Most players just run around with all her abilities on at all times. But disabling specific items in specific areas has allowed players to try things out they otherwise wouldn't have been able to. Exploring the game world is one thing, but exploring the heroine's moveset is another layer on top of that. There's a reason Super Metroid has been picked apart and stripped bare in a way that its successors never have. By the way, that annoying beeping is going to persist until I get myself up above 30 energy. Don't worry, I'm not as close to dead as I look. The yellow auto arrows show that I've got at least something in my reserve tank to fall back on. Sequence break number 2, wall jumping into Kraid's lair instead of going down to Norfair and picking up the high jump boots. Another 60 to 90 seconds saved. I told you I was going to impress you. Actually, what would be even more impressive is if I could clear out all of these key hunters with well-timed missiles rather than hopping around like a fool and wasting them all. Ah well, you win some, you lose some. There are hidden goodies in the key hunter room that require power bombs to get, which is annoying because you either have to detour all the way back here after you get some power bombs, or detour all the way out to get the power bombs before coming here in the first place. Either way is a waste of time for a single missile pack. Mini Kraid drops a bunch of pickups, which is good because his big brother is just around the corner. You know you're about to enter a boss room whenever you find one of these eyeball doors. You can kill them quicker if you use a super missile instead of 3 regulars, but I'd rather have that precious super on the other side of the door. There are 2 stages to the Kraid fight, part 1 where he's stuck in the floor, and then part 2 after you feed him a super missile and he breaks up through the ceiling. If you're awesome and have perfect timing, you can lob enough supers into his mouth to kill him before he gets to stage 2, but even after years of practice I've never been able to pull it off. The basic strategy here is to shoot Kraid in the eye with a missile to make him open his mouth, then get a super down his throat while he's roaring. 3 of those should be enough to kill him. Regular missiles work just as well when you inevitably run out of supers. Since I skipped the high jump boots, I have to wall jump in order to get up onto the platforms. This is kind of a nice litmus test, considering I needed a wall jump to skip the high jump boots to begin with. Super Metroid is generally pretty good about not trapping the player in areas they aren't skilled enough to escape, with one major exception we'll explore in a later video. And if you didn't think I'd get through Kraid this video, I'm happy to have blown your mind. See you next episode.